Welcome to Entertainment Drive-Thru. Today's special is Kevin Farley, comedian and actor.
Quiet on the set.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to
Hello, welcome to Entertainment Drive-Thru. I'm Anna, with me is my co-host Dan, and today we have a very special guest. He's an actor, writer, director, and comedian. You've seen him in movies like The Waterboy, Black Sheep, Beverly Hills Ninja. He's been on TV shows like Curb Your Enthusiasm, Rules of Engagement, The Neighbors, Hot in Cleveland, Just Shoot Me, United States of Tara, and he's been in movies like An American Carol. He was the co-writer and co-director of Hollywood and Wine, and he directed the movie Paranormal Movie. And now he's been opening up for Chris Rock, Norm Macdonald, Jeff Ross, Todd Glass, Kevin Nealon, and oh my God, I can go on and on. He's now a regular act with none other than David Spade at the Venetian in Las Vegas. Welcome. Joining us via Skype is the one, the only, Kevin Farley!
Yeah, welcome to the show.
That's a very, very, very nice introduction there.
Yeah, and actually it's
so long.
FaceTime, not Skype this time.
I know.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're used to doing Skype.
We get a special FaceTime with Kevin Farley.
But how's it going?
Hey, pretty good, you guys. I feel great.
Excellent. Well, tell us a bit about yourself. And I mean, how the hell did you get started in all this massive amounts of things you've done?
Oh, I always said just have the philosophy, always have a project going and get up in the morning and try to work hard. And I keep myself busy, and I've wanted to be an actor for a long time. And so I am. And I just keep auditioning and sticking my nose in there. And, sometimes I'm right for the part, sometimes I'm not. But, I just... Through the years, you live long enough, you start to build a career, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
And you grew up in Wisconsin, right?
I did.
Nice. Yeah. And it wasn't until you moved to Chicago that you went to Second City, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, and then moved to Second City and did Chicago Second City for years. And I did Improv Olympic for years.
Nice.
And yeah, it was a lot of fun, those years in Chicago. And then I got a sitcom from UPN, and that moved me out to Los Angeles, and I've kind of been here ever since.
Nice. What sitcom was it?
Well, that was a long time ago, called Head Over Heels. That's the one that
nice.
got me out there. Yeah, I know.
Interesting.
So it didn't last very long, but it was a lot of fun, and it got me out to LA anyway.
I gotcha.
And how do you like LA coming from Wisconsin?
It's a lot different, I mean, the people it's a lot different. It's a very different culture. Wisconsin is primarily, Madison, Wisconsin is primarily the government is there and the students are there, and there's a big university there. And Los Angeles is a big cosmopolitan city, and so there's a lot going on here. The weather's great, but it seems like I'm kind of used to a small town. I still am a small town guy, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to know though, when is that moment that you decided that being an actor and being a comedian is exactly what you wanted to do? It wasn't going to be being a ketchup maker. You wanted to be an actor and a comedian.
I know. I just really judged by what really kind of gave me a thrill, and every time I was on a set or every time that I was doing the craft of acting, it gave me a lot of joy. So I just followed that. It's really that simple, and I think somebody told me you do what you love to do. And so I followed that advice.
Right.
And in that way, work doesn't seem like work, And
I mean, when did you decide though to become an actor and a comedian? I mean, did you just always decide this is what I'm going to do? Or was there kind of like an idea that that's the direction you wanted to go in, as opposed to doing something else?
Yeah, I was working for my dad in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And I saw my brother Chris had gone down to Second City in Chicago and started doing classes and performing on stage down there. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, that's something I would like to do also, because it seems like a lot of fun to do. And
right.
So I basically did that. I mean, I followed him down to Second City and started in on the classes, and I just kept going from there, just trying to do more projects, trying to expand, write more, do other things. But yeah, so I quit selling asphalt and got into acting because it seems like it was a lot more fun than selling asphalt.
I can imagine. And I mean, you and Chris both acted in, quite a few movies together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did.
Was that just because you both landed, the same movies, or did he pull you in saying, hey, I've got a movie that you should be a part of as well? Or was it the opposite? Or how did you guys get to doing some of the same projects?
He would pull me in. I mean, Chris was on Saturday Night Live, and then he would get a movie, and he'd always let me tag along, which was nice.
I needed a brother or sister to do that for me.
Yeah, he was a very good guy, a very generous brother, and I appreciated it very much. Yeah.
But tell us about the show that you've got, with David Spade in Las Vegas now.
Well, but David's a very good friend of mine also. He's been very good to me, and he lets me open up for him at the Venetian in Las Vegas, which is a lot of fun. We do that maybe a couple times a month, and sometimes less, but lately it's been a lot more.
Nice.
Do you find certain jokes work and certain jokes don't work with the Las Vegas crowd?
Yeah, because the Las Vegas crowd there's a lot of them from all over the place. So you got to kind of keep it kind of light and fun, and they probably lost a lot of money at the table, so you don't want to do you don't want to do anything really, really rough for them. You want to keep it all upbeat and fun.
So you talk about the buffet act? I love that one.
Yeah. My dad used to love buffets, so I made a joke about it, just how much we used to go to buffets as a family. We had a big family, so that's kind of how he fed us.
I love that whole act because I never thought about it that way, because some of our eating habits are completely a result of how our parents raised us. Meaning, like, I eat really, really fast, and I didn't realize why, and then I realized that when you live with, I had a brother, so between my brother and my dad, if I didn't eat fast, I didn't get food. So it's like,
yeah, I know. And we learned a lot.
I didn't realize, and I loved the whole thing about the buffet is that you're like, huddle up, and everybody goes together, and it's so awesome.
I know. It's. I look back at the way we ate as a family because we had a big family, and I live alone now, and I'm just a single guy, and it's just funny to me because my mom would make giant amounts of food, and I'm like, God, I can't believe how much we ate. It's amazing.
And I wanted to ask you, in terms of all the work that you've done so far, what are things that you have found have worked for you, and what are things that you found have not worked?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I'm learning a lot about stand-up right now.
Okay.
And I'm just learning about that stand-up is kind of its own creature. Mm-hmm. And there's certain venues that work with stand-up, and then there's other venues that really don't work at all. Like, a lot of people will put like a stand-up comedian in front of a band or maybe a dinner theater or something like that. And really, stand-up really kind of only works in a club or maybe a theater of some sort, And I'm sort of learning that. I had to learn that one the hard way.
Yeah? What happened?
Yeah. Well, it's just if the crowd isn't expecting a stand-up to show up, they're not really prepared for it, So.
Oh, my.
See, I thought it was so funny. I went to see a band once, and a comedian opened up for them, but they didn't really say that there was a comedian there, and they didn't say that they were a comedian. So they just showed up, and they're like, hey, guys, you guys ready for a good show tonight? And then started telling stand-up jokes, and everyone's like, wait, what the hell?
I was here to see a band.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's there to start rocking out, and then this guy just starts talking. They're like, wait, are we in the right place?
I know. Yeah, that's what happened to me the other day, too, where if you don't promote that there's going to be a comedian in the front of your act, it really throws the crowd off, and they don't know what to do. So.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. There's some really bad.
Hard enough for the stand-up comedian. Like, way to put them in crowds that are tough.
I know. It's so bad.
So that's one of those things that doesn't work. But what are some things that you found have worked for you?
I just think if I stick to... I tend to like my acting style tends to be sort of big.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so I really am good at a lot of the kids shows, the Disney shows, and some of the Nickelodeon shows. I really enjoy doing those because they're just a lot of fun to do. And they sort of are in my wheelhouse, I guess, if you say.
Well, yeah, and I guess...
And,
I was going to say, I guess with, you saying that you like doing the big acting, I mean, kids shows are all about big acting.
Yeah, they're all about big acting, and I enjoy that more than anything because it's sort of just how I am anyway. So I get a lot of those. I enjoy working on them. Like I just worked on a show called Kicking It, which is like a Karate Kid show on Nickelodeon. And then,
Nice.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed being there with those guys.
So is that kind of like the ideal job? That's kind of like the ideal place that you would like to go toward?
Yeah, something family oriented would be a lot of fun to do. Just like Disney-esque or something like that. I would really enjoy doing something like that.
Right. And now, have you done a lot of your own promotion, or do you have someone doing that for you?
My publicist is Cindy Collins, and she's wonderful. And yeah, she does a lot. She helps me with a lot of my promotion.
Okay.
And my website and that kind of thing. And yeah, I try to do my own promotion. I use Facebook and Twitter and social media and that kind of thing.
And how have you found that's helped? I mean, have you like discovered any tricks to getting those things to work better?
I think Facebook has like a boosting thing. I've paid a few times on that.
Okay.
That I think works. That works a little bit. And I think Twitter, and just as long as you consistently use the social medias to promote yourself, they can work, but I think you got to be consistent with it.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break to listen to a clip from Down by the River by Flypaper, but we will be right back.
I said, get down, down by the river. Get down, down by the river. Get down, down by the river. Get down, down by the river.
What about gigs? What has been your best gig and your worst gig?
The worst gig was probably that one just last week when I opened up for a singer. And like what I was talking about, they didn't know I was coming, and they were eating their food in front of my eyes.
I always
I've done a few
wondered
bar
that.
mitzvahs too. Huh?
Isn't that distracting? I was wondering in all the in comedy clubs and all
Yeah.
this stuff, they always have people eating food. Isn't that distracting as a
Wait,
comedian?
you said
Oh,
you did some bar mitzvahs?
I did like a bar mitzvah in a birthday, yeah, and that was pretty bad too.
How does that work?
Well, it doesn't work. That's the problem. It really doesn't.
He sings Havana Gila and then he does some stand-up.
Yeah, and you're trying to do some stand-up or improv. I used to do a lot of improv back in the day. And like 5 of us would get out there and do a birthday party and talk about a disaster. It was like a train wreck, a slow train wreck. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Those were probably the worst gigs, I remember having, that was, just the dinner theater ones and the birthday parties. I got a bunch of those.
I think every artist can. They're like, oh my god, too many of the bad gigs.
Oh, I just love when we talk to someone on the show and we say, so what has been your worst gig? And they go, oh my goodness, so many to say.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, I have like a lot of industrial too, which are industrials are kind of like conventions for companies, and they always have speakers, and some of these speakers can get quite dull because they're talking about, marketing strategies or possibly, how to improve market share, and they can go on forever and ever, and they need a comedian to sort of break up the monotony. Yeah. So I've gone into a few of those, and that's like walking into a lion's den.
Oh my god! But you got a business degree, right? So
I do.
Could you use that at all in your stand-up? Like throw in like buzzwords and then mock something or mock a person in their specific.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I usually do make fun of. I love the reason I got out of business is because they were so happy with their buzzwords. It made me sick. And I just remember people can really get by in corporate America if they have a good vocabulary of buzzwords.
That's very true.
Yeah, and so I just found that really sickening. And every time I do it, I just want to make fun of them all with their buzzwords. And a lot of times I do jokes about that and just rattle off as many buzzwords as I can possibly rattle off, and people start to laugh. People start to get it and they start to laugh because it's. I don't know if people know what they're doing in corporate America, but they sure
don't.
know a lot of buzzwords. That's for sure.
Well, and that's something I actually, I mean, we've started to get into the business side of things as well. Starting this podcast and all that, you kind of have to. And I've noticed, it seems like no one really knows what they're doing. Everyone's just figuring out as they go along, but they all say they're experts.
Yeah, they all say they're experts because they've certainly studied it a lot, and I don't know. You can study it all you want; it's still going to be the same animal. I mean, I don't know.
The thing that always got me though is I looked up one day because there's a lot of people online that say they're social media experts, and I always wondered. I mean, first of all, what makes them a social media expert? And second of all, I thought, okay, well, if they're this good at, promoting people's social media and getting their name out there and everything, they must have a huge following then, right? And I looked them up and they've got like 200 followers. And I'm thinking, okay, why are you the expert then if you can't even promote yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. If that's your business and you're a social media expert, you should be so well known by everybody.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, you should. Like, oh yeah, no, yeah, he's a social media expert. We know that.
Yeah. Like I always wondered, like what makes them a social media expert if they can't even help themselves?
I feel like they should be a George Takei of like social
George
media.
Takei is a social media expert.
Yes, he's a social media expert. He puts up funny photos and everybody knows his name.
Yeah. Well, I think I relate it to like if somebody is addicted to marijuana and they know all the different kinds of marijuana, but they're really just addicted to marijuana.
Yeah.
And they love marijuana. They love smoking marijuana. I look at Facebook and some of these social medias as completely addicting to people.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
And so they find themselves on it for 6 or 7 hours a day, and then they call themselves an expert when they're really just addicted to it.
See, I could totally
that makes
say I'm addicted to it. I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
I'm
See,
totally-
that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense to say, but nobody really wants to say, hey, guess what? I'm addicted to Facebook. I'm addicted to Twitter. I'm addicted to Instagram.
Could you
But
imagine?
they don't want to say that.
Could you imagine
So
if-
they call themselves an expert.
Could you imagine if that's what everyone advertised? If they were like, "Hey, let me help you with your social media. I'm addicted to it."
I mean, I would actually trust that guy more if because then at least he's honest and I know he's really hungry to help. And
Right.
he'll know a lot.
That's
But I
true.
mean, I don't trust a guy that says he's an expert. I mean, it's the same thing as a pot guy. If I don't know a lot about pot, but if I go up to a stoner and ask him, he's going to go, "Oh yeah, what do you need? What kind of buzz do you need?" And he'll know, exactly what I'm talking about. But that doesn't make him an expert. It just makes him. It makes him a guy that can really get high really well.
See, and that's the thing that I find so amusing about marijuana is the fact that it's becoming a medicine. And I mean, I've heard there have been studies that say it actually works. And I mean, if it works, it works. But I just find it's so funny that it's a medication. Yet then you go up to people and they go, "Yeah, what kind of buzz do you want to get?" It's like, well, I thought this was curing my cancer. Well, yeah, it is. But I mean, do you want to be relaxed about it? Do you want to be awake about it?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a lot of weird things going on in our modern day and age that I think that social media and marijuana have a great PR campaign right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they definitely do.
They both have a great PR campaign, and I think that they've managed to sway the public opinion enormously. Marijuana's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Facebook's been around for a long time now too, and it's same with Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and all these other places. It's just they're different versions of the same thing.
Yep.
But they're all really just, I mean, I think that they can help, in certain ways, but I think they're limited in a lot of ways for promotion. The bottom line is communication exists really between one person and another person. The telephone was a phenomenal achievement.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that, and I think that the cell phone is too, but I don't know, communication between one person and another person always happens face to face, and that's the best kind of communication, It always will be.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about networking, but before I ask you about that, you didn't tell us your best gig.
My best gig was probably the boy band Together. I was in a boy band.
Really?
Back in 2000, back in 2001, they made dolls of us and everything.
Way.
Oh yeah. We opened for Britney Spears. We had 2 gold albums. We were great. It's the name of the boy band is called Together, spelled with a 2, and then Gether. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And
I did not know that.
how long did you do that for?
We had a movie on MTV, and then we moved it into a sitcom on MTV. And then we toured with Britney a little bit, like right after the sitcom. So we did 2 years of a sitcom, and then
Wait, which Britney was that? Was that the early Britney?
yeah, that was a good Britney. Unfortunately, I mean, fortunately, yeah. I would rather have toured for this Britney. I like this Britney a lot better.
You would probably be able to party with that you know.
With this Britney, you bet. The new Britney, the new and improved Britney.
I like how I've got the picture pulled up here, and they dress exactly like a '90s boy
I want to
band.
see that.
Everyone's wearing a different color shirt and all wearing white pants.
That's
Well, it was kind of
hilarious.
it was a spoof of the boy band generation, and all the boy bands that were coming up in the late '90s, and we were spoofing that, and so we were kind of like the monkeys of the boy band era,
But I still love that you got to tour and everything. You got to have a little bit of the. You probably got to more audience than actual musicians today.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we had power of MTV behind us, so.
Oh man!
I mean,
but it was good and
we-
like a good MTV.
Wait, so you just want to do it all? You've acted, you've been a comedian, you've done music. Is there anything else you've done?
I know, isn't that kind of nuts? I
awesome.
sort of dabbled in a lot of things. I've been in a boy band. I've written movies. I've directed movies. I've acted in movies. Yeah, I get bored easy. I think I just try to do new things all the time.
You know what though? I think that's a good thing. I really do, because I think I mean, a lot of people get into the entertainment industry, and it's like they're set on doing one thing, and then they only do that one thing, and then I mean, it's fine if they really enjoy it, then you can't argue with that. But I find that some people, it's just like they do that, and then they're like, well, what next? It's like, well, there's so much you can do.
Especially now, I get bored. People just don't want to challenge themselves. They sort of just like to do the one thing that they're good at and then not challenge themselves because of, obviously, fear of failing. I mean,
yeah.
There's a lot of things I've found out that I'm not that great at. Directing, I think I'm good at, but it's not my best thing, but I wouldn't have never learned that if I didn't jump in and start swimming. I mean,
Right.
you just have to start somewhere. I think just people are afraid to change, and people are afraid to try new things. They really are. I mean, they'll try new things like clothes, and they'll try new things like, food. They'll be adventurous in those areas, or boyfriends or girlfriends, But it's hard. I think people have a tough time just doing something completely different.
Well, I think it's also, in this day and age, also I feel like the general public expects that entertainers do everything. I mean, this was back in the 90s, but I think it was Mitch Hedberg that was saying that people expect so much. It's like, oh, you do comedy? Can you act? And it's like, I'm a comedian.
I know. Well, I think sometimes comedians think that acting is very easy too. I mean, I think that you're sort of forced. Like somebody will come up to you after a stand-up show and offer you a movie or a TV show where you have to. All of a sudden, you find yourself on set trying to act with with no lessons or no anything. They just throw you into the pool and say, hey, "Start swimming."
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for some of those guys because they don't have any like real acting training or anything like that. They've just been a comedian all their life, and they've been a comic really. So they say, well, it can't be that hard. I go, well, I think you either have a talent for acting or you do not.
Right.
Right.
And if you do not, you can certainly work yourself to getting to a certain point where you're pretty good, but you have to work at it. You certainly have to work at it.
Yeah.
So I feel sorry for. A lot of comedians get offered shows and get offered movies because they're pretty famous and funny.
Right.
Right.
But they find themselves on set in a full-on panic attack because they don't know how to act really.
Yeah. And, I mentioned a little bit, I wanted to talk about networking. Do you have any suggestions or like tips about, going out and networking with people that, maybe the up-and-comers could learn from?
I think with networking, you just got to try to be yourself. You don't want to try to come across too much like you're hey, I'm networking now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just go to the right parties, go to the people that are there, and try not to pretend like you're, networking and stuff.
I do love that because, I mean, your friendships, with like David Spade and, all those, they must have not helped you out per se. I just love that with the entertainment industry, they always help each other. And I think that's really, really cool.
Well, I think you always want to work with people that you think are funny and that you think you would work well with, So I think you just sort of gravitate to those people, And Spade is one of the funniest guys on the planet. He's really, really funny. And he's been my friend for a long time, and same with Norm Macdonald and some of these other, Adam Sandler. There's just been good friends of mine for a long time, and I've always wanted to work with those guys.
Right.
Absolutely.
And they're funny, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and now, what would you say so far has been your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge is keeping my weight off. It's sad but true. No, I don't know. I struggle with it, but today I've been pretty good. I only had eggs and a turkey patty.
Nice.
So, but I think, that's a struggle. The challenge for me is always to just keep evolving, whether it be writing, directing, or stand-up.
Right.
Trying to, always the challenge is to never be satisfied with where you are and just try to keep getting better at everything,
So there's still more that you want to try out.
There's still more, yes, of course. I'm working on a movie right now that I just wrote that I want to get done, and I wouldn't mind possibly directing it, but I think that I want to try to do that, and I also want to try to I'm doing a documentary on Chris that I'm going to be working on.
Wow,
yeah, and that'll be done. That'll be done in about a year, hopefully. Mm-hmm. And so I'm working on that documentary, and I'm also doing a play in New York City in August, a play about stand-up comedians, which I really, really enjoy.
Wow.
I have to sing and dance in this thing, so I have to learn some songs.
What's so funny? I was just about to say, so you're going to become a dancer, right? Because that's like the one thing you haven't tapped into. Or tap dancing.
So that should be the new question we ask people is, what does Kevin Farley not do?
Yes.
What I don't do a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot I don't do. I don't know. I mean...
Well,
I
feel like that statement should have been, there's a lot you don't do yet.
There's a lot I don't do. I'm still going to tackle everything. I'm waiting to tackle biomedical engineering. That's what I'm going to go after next. I don't know. I have no idea.
Right. Well, speaking of challenges, though, we actually have a new challenge for you today.
Okay.
Because we are up to our segment, the Question of the Week. Question of the Week. So in this segment, we'll ask our interviewees a new question every week, and they have to think of the funniest answer that they can come up with. To our listeners, write in your questions on our Facebook at facebook.com/entertainmentdrivethru and our Twitter at edrivethru, and we just might use it as the question of the week. Now, Kevin, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. So question is, what do you think was the first Disney couple to fail after the Happily Ever After started?
Whoa, I think Cinderella. I think Cinderella got a divorce. Yeah, I think ultimately what happened was the sisters really never gave up trying to interfere with her married life, and she lost her mind. And the sequel to Cinderella is they get a divorce. The prince cheats. Just kidding.
It's like
sad.
Like he puts the glass slipper on and it fits, and then they get a divorce and he puts it on another girl's foot and he goes, "Oh, maybe I found the wrong one."
Yeah, he puts the glass slipper on a younger, hotter Cinderella.
Yes.
And marries her.
Who also wears a size 6. I mean.
Who also wears a size 6? Yeah.
Just finds the fairy godmother, and it's just like, all right, look, you done messed up. You gave me the wrong one.
Right.
Like it was all pre-planned from the beginning.
It's the American way, suing the fairy godmother.
Yes, suing the fairy godmother.
That's right.
Yeah.
They sue the fairy godmother for a faulty shoe.
Yes.
The fairy godmother, she's just going about her business one day. She's, cooking her breakfast, goes to goes to check the mail, and she's just like, all right, Bill,
summons.
Notice of going to the court.
Yeah.
God damn it.
And then the other half of Cinderella 2 is the big court case where they're suing. They're suing the great fairy godmother for a faulty shoe.
Yeah.
And it turns out the fairy godmother is guilty, and she's made 1,000 of these shoes and sold them for a ton on eBay.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
I could picture like it getting down to the end, and then she finally goes, "Wait, you said size 6, right?" And then he goes, "No, I wanted size 7." The whole thing just turned out to be a big misunderstanding.
Yes, and that's how it ends.
And it turns out
Yeah.
that Cinderella really was just destined to be tortured and tormented by her sisters for the end of time.
Wow, that'll be a real winner movie.
Yeah, right.
Boy,
That's too real,
that's
Dan.
like
That's too real. Yeah,
You're like M. Night. That's the M. Night Shyamalan, whatever version.
that's that version.
Right, yeah, that's that version.
Well, getting back to
that's
the
good.
interview, but that was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you, in terms of everything that you've done so far, is there maybe something that you've learned along the way that maybe you wish you knew back when you got started?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe just to not take things too seriously, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think this business goes up and down, and I think that the fluctuatingness or the inconsistency of this business, you can't let it get to you too much.
Well,
I think
yeah.
I did when I was younger. It was a little harder, but now it's a lot easier.
And I mean, I have to ask. I mean, you were brothers with one of like the most famous comedy actors of all time. Was it hard? Was it hard? Being in those movies with him and having him get all the bigger roles.
No, not really, because honestly, he was just we all knew he was the funniest one. So I didn't really want to compete with that. I mean, there's no question. Ever since he was a little kid, he was he'd step on a stage and knew how to do it. So
Right.
I just was happy to be a part of it. Honestly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I always was. Yeah.
I have to say though, I think one of my favorite bits that the two of you were in was actually from the show All That with the ketchup.
Yeah, you saw that. I wrote
did.
that bit.
Did you really?
Yeah, I helped write that bit with Chris, and boy, I didn't realize during that sketch that he was going to go that crazy. And so you sort of see me in the background going, "Oh my God, what is happening?" And I was just kind of, I was just kind of laughing, going, "This is insane! Why are you doing this?" Because it wasn't written like that, I don't think,
Oh,
And Chris was like, "I'm going to turn this up a notch,"
Well, I just remember
And
watching
it
that
was funny.
I just remember watching that as a kid, and I mean, I at the same time I was watching All That and Saturday Night Live, and I mean,
Yeah.
Chris and you, like the two of you were like, I mean, great actors, and then I saw it on All That, and I'm like, wait, they're on All That now, and then I mean, just going outrageous,
Well, he had done it to promote Beverly Hills Ninja, I think.
I love that
Yeah.
movie. I cannot.
Oh, good.
Oh man.
What I
Yeah.
have to say, it's kind of cool though, seeing that because I mean, it was cool that All That was essentially the kid version of SNL. And,
Yes, exactly. Right.
Yeah. So and it was kind of cool because now I mean Kenan Thompson has moved to SNL from that, and Chris
Right.
went from SNL to All That.
Yeah, he enjoyed that day. We had one day on that set.
Oh wow.
And he took me down there, and we really had a lot of fun. It took him like an hour and a half to clean up from the ketchup in the cake.
Yeah.
But,
Oh my God, I can imagine. I sometimes think that
Yeah.
when people go crazy like that, I'm like, who cleans it up? I would not want to do that.
I think they went through about 1,000 towels after he was done with that. Yeah. Yeah, it was insane. It was, there was a lot of chocolate cake on that set and a lot of ketchup on that set.
I like how it looked. It kind of looked like Kenan was about to go, you know what, screw this, and just take the chocolate and go just everywhere. And then it rained the chocolate. And I was like, yeah that's about right.
Yeah, I mean, he really went berserk on that.
Do you
funny.
feel, because now you said you were making a documentary about him, are you learning a lot more about him that you didn't know? Because I'm even finding more out about my family every time. Like my dad blogged for a little bit. There's so many things he doesn't tell me.
Yeah. I think that as the year goes here, I've just started the documentary, but I'm sure that I will find, a lot about Chris that I didn't know, and because it's been 15 years now, so he would be 50 years old, so I'm sure I'll find out a lot. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also, it's sad. It's very emotional for me to put this thing together. So
yeah,
it'll be cathartic in a way to put it all together.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, what about resources? Do you have any specific, like either online or any books that you really recommend to others? Or
I always recommend the book Truth in Comedy, which is written by Sharna Halpern. Is a very good book. I always recommend that book to read about acting and about also just improvisation and that kind of thing. And Steve Martin wrote a really good book about stand-up comedy. I think that's a really good Bible for any stand-up out there that wants to do it.
Is that was that one? I Was Born Standing Up.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's definitely done a lot in show business, and he wrote a lot about in the book. So
that's
it's
amazing.
excellent.
Yeah. Have you ever actually had an acting gig where you kind of froze on camera, or just you didn't know what to do?
Oh, plenty of times, But that's where another thing is. I was teaching a seminar yesterday at Improv Olympic, and I always think that people should take plenty of improv courses because you're going to find yourself on set, in situations where they're going to be rolling and they don't have time to for you to stop and ask the director, what's my motivation kind of thing because of the restraints on time. So if you have a good improv background, you're going to trust your instincts enough to say, I'm going to make some choice here. And if it's wrong, I'll be screamed at, but who cares? And it's better to be screamed at for making a wrong choice than to not make any choice and to freeze.
right?
Yeah.
What happens in front of the camera is a lot of people freeze because they don't have any real improv skills or they don't trust their own instincts. And so if you learn how to trust your own instincts, that is through improv, then you're going to be a lot better on set. You're not going to freeze up like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And some of the best moments in movie history have been improv.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. They're feeling it. The good actors will do improv, a lot, but they'll improvise in their own way.
Yeah.
And so there's all kinds of different actors get to where they need to be all different kinds of ways,
Yeah.
It's very personal. It's very personal how you get to where you need to be in the character. So,
yeah. I always thought that one of my favorites that was an improv moment in movies was with Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones. When the guy pulls out the sword and is swinging it around and jumping around, and then Harrison Ford just wasn't feeling well that day. He was sick, and he was just like, I just really don't want to deal with this right now, and pulls out his gun and fires it. And the guy was so shocked by what happened that he just fell back on his back. That wasn't in the script. He was actually supposed to fight him.
Oh, no way.
But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he just wasn't feeling well that day and was just like, you know what, screw this. I'm done.
I love that with the most epic moments sometimes it's just improv.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that you get a lot of the real things that happen. Everybody's so nervous when there's a lot of money on the line, with a movie, and everybody's everybody's nervous on set because nobody wants to lose their job and they want this movie to be good.
Yeah.
And so it's up to the actor to be loose, the only one loose on, they have to be loose. They have to be like, oh, this doesn't matter. Throw this away. Be loose and have fun. Don't worry that it's $60 million on the line.
Right? It's
Now,
crazy.
Unfortunately, we are down to the end of the interview, but where are places that our listeners can find out more information about you?
Well, you can go to my website, kevinfarleyofficial.com, and you can go to my Facebook page, Kevin Farley. My Twitter is I'm Kevin Farley, @I'm Kevin Farley. And my Instagram is Kev Farls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got all these.
That's
Excellent.
awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Kevin, for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah. And for more information on Kevin Farley and the podcast, go to entertainmentdrivethru.com and subscribe on iTunes. Like and follow us on our Facebook at facebook.com/entertainmentdrivethru and our Twitter and Instagram @edrivethru.
Hi, this is Kevin Farley, and you've been listening to Entertainment Drive-Thru.